universal. The Chinese add things up. They categorize things.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
understand configurations.
Yes.
So did the Russians. So this is a universal. See, in philosophy, to ground something, it has to be universally grounded. It has to be. If it's in me, it has to be in you, or else it's not. It's not universally grounded, right? So we might have differences about cultural differences, say, and surface differences, but they don't matter. At the core complex level, what unites us? Now, we all bleed red is an obvious one. We all break down to molecules. But, what is it unites us at the mind level, at the conscious level? We can all say it's universal. So this is one set of modes that allows us to engage in all fields of knowledge, and it's fit for purpose in relation to finding what we are. So that's my life's work.
I know this. This just for trying to expand on understanding what you are saying. How did you establish the modes on an objective basis?
Okay. Well, the first step I took in was through Canvas. Basically, we intuit. Okay. Now we intuit because that's the most basic thing of me. I intuit a sense of me. You intuit a sense of you. And my intuitional field is broad. My intuitional field allows me to intuit. What's that over there? And what's that here? Basic intuitions. So we ask ourselves then, well, how broad is intuition? How do we intuit? Well, when you get down to it and speed all up the process, I realize we do intuit through structure. We do intuit order and pattern. What we do intuit, we don't just intuit there's a bee in front of us. We intuit there's a structure to that bee. We intuit that it's held together. There's a combined force holding it together. So we can deduce from that we understand things like configuration, like combination. So we start to actually go, well, then we understand configuration where else? Well, mathematics, 1 + 1 = 2 is a configuration we're combined with. We have terms like something doesn't figure. It doesn't square up. Capitalism doesn't figure. Now, why doesn't this figure? Because we can't combine with its configuration. Because it's not a natural configuration. Like monarchy doesn't square up. Somebody's better than me. A different bloodline. That doesn't square up in any field of science or any field of philosophy. So we can't combine with its configuration. So we can deduce from that we do combine with configurations. We're trying to understand the cellular structures of the cell. We're trying to understand the structures of the cell. So we're trying to combine with its configuration. So no matter where we move so basically by taking a step back from that in the objective sense, I'm realizing there are modes that we use to enter fields of knowledge because we couldn't enter without. You couldn't engage with me today unless you could add things up. Adding isn't just about adding up pennies. We add up evolutionary theories. We add up World War II is corrupt. Capitalism doesn't figure. That's because of adding and precision. And how many categories have we moved already through? How many categories, from life to people to different all the categories, right? So we're using categorizations. We categorize that we add and use combinations. So you see, when I get into it, I realize all these modes are in place. So once I start to realize the modes, I start to isolate them as a set unto themselves. And then this set is responsible for the fact that human is a loose premise at best. We've never fixed the predicate.
You're right,
we can't draw a line the way we can. So we do know that the case. But something about us knows that. Now we have the mode of identification. We're trying to identify the cell. We're trying to identify our place in the world. We're trying to identify what spirituality means. We're trying to identify our evolutionary theories. We're trying to identify with things. So we haven't fully identified the body yet, but we can identify with the fact that we have the mode of identification, which allows us to identify with all fields of knowledge. So once again, that's an intuitive field. So we intuit through identity. We intuit through categorization. We intuit through addition and so on. So by isolating this set as a set unto itself, by isolating this set as a set unto itself, by creating, by meditating on it as a constellation set unto itself, I believe we can see the agency of the systemic eye. The conscious eye is a systemic eye, and I believe this gives agency, a blueprint, a systemic blueprint to the eye of observation. And I believe this eye has to be refined. It's the way out of this old paradigm, this schizophrenic paradigm. I believe this is the next field, the next paradigm of thought to enter, because it is one eye, one ring to rule it all. Lord of the Rings. Well, this is one eye to rule it all. Okay? And it's also more importantly, it's fit for purpose. It's the eye that rules out that it's the eye that understands that appearances are not what things are. So the eye stands. It's the eye with all the modes necessary for finding itself, because to find itself, it would have to be able to add itself up. It would have to be able to identify itself. It would have to be able to unify itself. So all the modes we can deduce, we can unify around the fact that all the modes necessary for finding ourselves and our nature in this world are in place. So I want to ask, why have we got such a complex system within us? What is its purpose? What is it? And I believe that is the all-seeing eye, and this is agency. So this is a lifetime. I hope that makes sense.
And I understand. Just one question. Intuitively, what would my purpose be for being here?
We don't know.
Well,
because because you're intuitive.
No. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I can't intuit your purpose or my purpose for being here because I can't intuit me being here.
Right. Excellent. Now, if that is the case, I'm thinking that intuitively I can go only so far.
Yes.
Correct?
No. I can't make that statement. I intuitively...
No, I'm making the statement.
No, but you can't make
I want
an
to know
absolute
why.
statement.
It's not an absolute
well,
statement.
If you can only go... do you mean you personally are our species?
No, what I am saying is, look, if I know, I can only intuitively think about things before I start wanting to find out external to me.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Internal,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. But then that has to be realized internally.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am asking that intuitively, can I know everything there is to know without the need for research?
Oh, so no, without the need for research, you know, first of all, you have to systemize to know.
Absolutely.
I believe that, right?
Yeah.
Now, given that we all have got about 80 years each, if we're lucky,
if we're lucky.
I'm built on the back of a whole legacy of great thinkers, East and West, right?
Yeah,
so
no
I've
problem.
taken from the different theories,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I've, you know, I'm not an isolated. No one's isolated.
Yeah,
their
of course.
knowledge.
No one is. Yeah.
So we're on we can deduce that we're on a journey of knowledge. We're understanding knowledge. So it's an ongoing game.
Absolutely.
Now the question is not whether me and you, whether we can arrive at the ultimate knowledge. Is can our species eventually arrive at ultimate knowledge?
No problem.
So I can't make an absolute to say we can or we can't.
Of course.
I can't say we can or we can't, but I can say that we seem to be fit with a set of systemic modes that are fit for purpose in relation to finding ultimate knowledge.
Yeah.
So
I
no
totally.
absolute in that statement.
Absolutely.
It's just a systemic perspective.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. You know, my concern is, as you rightly pointed out, if we are lucky that we have got only 80 years of a life, okay, then it becomes all the more imperative that we try and establish very quickly why we are here, or why I am here. Why am I here communicating with you?
Yes.
Why am I traveling in a... The question is there. Yeah. But if I only have 80 years, and you rightly pointed out that we have built what we know over hundreds of years.
Yes, thousands of years.
It's not one of us.
No, it's not one. There's no isolated
absolutely.
person.
There's no isolated.
We're all attached to a legacy.
Absolutely. Now, all of it, no, even though we have got thousands of years of knowledge, okay, we still,
relative
of course, relative. We still are in a position not knowing exactly why we are here, and after those 80 years disappear, what happens?
Because it's so complex. Because we're not long.
Yeah.
I believe in evolution. We're not long off the tree, and we're barely into alphabets. When you think about the whole scheme of it, the length of evolution and the modification that's involved to arrive here where we are, the fact that we were fish and now we're fish with an alphabet, having relatively complex conversations that will appear relatively primitive in a million years' time, and that's fine. It's this track that we're on that's what's important. And I don't premise the I in terms of I, me. I only premise the conscious I. What is the conscious field passing through the conduit? What journeys is on? So we are too primitive to know right now in this day and age. So I don't ask questions for meaning. I know I have meaning to my own life with my family and friends and that kind of meaning, that relative meaning. But I do attach meaning to the track that we're on, the evolutionary tract of knowledge. I give meaning to that because we keep trying to refine it and identify it. And I've isolated the modes that are trying to systemize it. And like I said, that's the next stage to see where that will take us over millions of years.
Of course.
But we have no absolute answers.
No, absolutely not. But you just raised an interesting point just now. If you don't mind me.
No, go ahead, Jay.
You just said that you believe in evolution.
Yes.
Now
I believe it's the best theory on the table.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm not concerned about that. But earlier on, when you were talking to the gentleman, you raised the issue of spirituality.
Yes.
Now, in what category would we objectively identify spirituality?
Okay. Well, we only conceptually, there is a sense of transcendence, there is a sense of connectivity. I feel another mode of connectivity. I'm connected to you in all things. And we understand now how actually we are connected to the ecosystem, how we're feeding off it and it's feeding off us. So we understand, with the mode of connectivity and all the other modes allow us to see that. Okay?
Right, okay.
So there is a sense throughout our nature of something spiritual. Now, personally, I can't know, but I believe spirit consciousness is prior. I don't believe in epiphenomenalism. I believe consciousness is prior. Now, I can go into that for hours.
I understand. Of course.
There is a sense, but I can also
summarize.
But I also can go along with the fact that it might be an epiphenomenalistic illusion that the brain is just the mind is just an emergent novelty of the brain. I don't know yet. None of us do. We're too primitive to know. But there is a sense of something spiritual and transcendent in us. So I believe there's something, the spiritual eye, the observational eye, sees through a systemic lens. And I believe it's passing through the body conduit. and I believe it got into one conduit and moved out of it into chimp, into man. I believe it passed one road to get to Rome. Nature only needs one road to pass through itself, one conduit to rise through. Now, I believe we're on a spiritual journey, and here's why, because we cannot isolate and premise man. Man, something in us cannot premise what we're in. It can hold it as a loose conceptual notion, but you can't premise man.
How can I identify that?
I don't know. But we can identify with true reductionism. You do break down to quantum. For example, if there's let me answer. If there's spiders walking all over me, and I pull off a spider, that's not me. It's its own little thing. So there's trillions of little creatures walking around our skin. So they're their own little thing. So let's keep reducing it down. Where do I actually begin and end? You can't isolate a wave in the ocean. We see them and write poetry about them and paint them. But there's no wave in it. It's just a water coming in on the land. It leaves the impression of the ocean. So we have an impression that we're here, but appearances are not what things are. We know all those variables. So we can't. Maybe we are here as units unto ourselves. Maybe we can adumbrate ourselves and draw a full line around quantum on the inside, out to the outside.